Hi, welcome to the Bridge Podcasts. We hope you enjoy the following message. For more information on all that's happening at the Bridge Church, please visit www.bridge-church.com.
No matter what you do, no matter where you go, you're going to have to deal with people. Do any of us have a great day, we're awesome, and then all of a sudden, kids come home from school? Or our husband comes home from work, like, oh, that just blew my whole day. Well, I want to help you understand people, and that starts with understanding yourself. My background is in behavior therapy. Oh, I left my marker, but that's okay. So my background is in behavior therapy, in psychology. Love it because I was able not only to help people as a behavior therapist, but also understand why I'm so weird. And I never really fit in. I don't know if anyone is like that, but never really fit in, always kind of quirky. And I remember as a child, do your school systems here have special classes? No time. I was put in the special classes for this. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. I do have some up here. I had a big black one, but it's okay. I can use this. Thank you. And so yes, the teacher said she can't learn, she can't focus, she can't pay attention. We'll just put her in the special classes. And that's where I was all the time. I was a daydreamer. I remember when I was young, this is the kind of family I had. Our friends were in the circus. That's the kind of family I grew up in. Very, very odd family, kind of embraced everyone, and we had a lot of friends in the circus that we would go see every summer. And I always idolized the trapeze artist with her regalia and the hair and the feathers and the sequins and the outfit. Oh, I just wanted to be like her. Oh, thank you. Bless you. Thank you so much. I just wanted to be like her. She just was everything glamorous to me, was the trapeze artist. And I actually befriended her. And it's so funny because I would go back after the circus and talk with her and invite her over to my house. There's this little girl, me, maybe like 7 years old. But she came and she became good friends with the family. And I remember one day, she was staying at our house, and she was going to pick me up after school. And it was show and tell. She was going to pick me after school the next day, and it was show and tell that day. And I said, tomorrow, a trapeze artist is going to pick me up from school. And the teacher said, Hannah, you've got to stop this. That's enough. You can't come down to earth. You're always imagining things. You're in your own imaginary world. That's enough. Stop it. Go sit down. Get in your seat. I was so embarrassed. Actually, I was kind of clueless, but embarrassed. And then I told my dad about it. And the teacher wrote a note home every day. Note home. Hannah can't pay attention. Hannah can't pay attention. Hannah daydreams in class. And wrote another home. Hannah thinks that a trapeze artist is going to pick her up. This has got to stop. So my dad, being the loving father that he is, told the trapeze artist, when you go pick up Hannah, make sure you wear all of the attire and make sure you walk into class. I had no idea. So there I am sitting in class, and right before the bell rings, in she comes. Glamorous, beautiful, sequin boots, stockings, glitter, everything. I'm here to pick up that girl. And I was like, oh, yeah! Yeah, payback! And the teacher, stunned. What could she say? It was a glorious day because there was retribution. Finally, I was validated. But that's how a lot of us need to be. We need to be validated. I remember my dad got sick of the notes home, and he finally went to the principal, and he said, I don't want to have any more notes home. She's a child. Let her dream. So then they just put me in the special classes with all the other daydreamers. But you know what? That's what God is saying to you. He's saying, you're my child. There is no condemnation on you. There is no judgment. I wasn't mistaken when I made you. I made you exactly how I wanted you to be. There is a purpose and there is a reason. Dream. This is how I made you. operate in it. But we can't operate in it if we're always trying to be somebody else. Have you ever seen someone and they just seem to have their act together and you try to emulate what they do and it just doesn't fit? It's kind of like wearing Spanx, those tight undergarments, it doesn't fit. You can try to squeeze into it. I remember one time I was doing a television show and I was on a morning news show and I was showing how to prepare some easy recipes and I was wearing a form-fitting dress and I wore those tight Spanx. Do you have Spanx here? Is that what they're? Okay. I was wearing those underneath, and the camera was on, and they were counting down, and I dropped something, and I went down to pick it up, and when I came up, it went all the way down, and then the camera's on, and I couldn't tug it up or anything. I was stuck. Everything, all the bulges, everything showing. It was horrible. But that's how we spend our lives sometimes. We're trying to operate like this person operates or like this person operates. And God's like, stop. You're working way too hard, baby. You're trying to fit into something you're never meant to fit into. If you put on a dress that's just too tight, it's not your dress. It might be somebody else's, but it's not yours. So understand how you operate. And there's so much freedom there. So much freedom when you can finally understand how you operate because you're distinct, you're special, you're important, you're valued, and you're made up exactly how you're supposed to be made up. In 1 Corinthians 15:41, the sun is glorious in one way, the moon is glorious in another way, and the stars are glorious in their own distinctive ways. He made you how he made you so he could have you glorify his son, not so you could try to adapt to someone else's personality and someone else's style. In Philippians 2:15, that you may show yourselves to be blameless and guileless, innocent and uncontaminated, children of God without blemish, faultless, unrebukable, in the midst of a crooked and wicked generation, spiritually perverted and perverse, among whom you are seen as bright lights, stars, or beacons shining out clearly in the dark world. Stars are all different in their own distinctive ways. Now, you may find that you're not one personality style. You might be a mix of different personalities, but there's a way you tend to operate. There's a way you tend to run your life that fits into a certain style. And we're going to talk about 4 of those styles. The censor, the thinker, the artist, and the ruler. And many of you already are familiar with 4 different personality styles. There's the censor, the one who's led by their heart. They feel more. There's the thinker, the one that's very rational, always tries to figure things out. The artist, also known as the actor, they love the stage. And the ruler, the one who always likes to take control. Do you see yourself as one of these? Do you already know kind of where you gravitate? Let's talk about the censors first. What's that? You're them all? Gotcha. That's called multiple personality disorder. We'll talk about that later. How many in here are censors? You feel more. Let me tell you about a censor. You have a heart of gold. You're willing to do anything for anyone. The censor, when they walk in a room, they already know there was some kind of fight or something's kind of weird. You know what I'm talking about? The energy's a little off. They can feel that. Other personality styles can't. They can talk to a person and just look at their face and say, "What's wrong? You need to tell me." They can sense it. They feel it. That's how they operate. Now, they have a hard time with clutter. Any censors in here have a hard time with clutter? The reason why is not because you think you need it, but because it brings back so many memories. It's so special to you. It's my daughter's 785th clown that she drew. I've got to keep it. It's the blanket, one of 28 that I use for my babies, but I need to keep it. That's the reason the sensor has a hard time with clutter. Everything brings back a memory. You probably have a sweater, a piece of furniture handed down from a great aunt or a great grandmother. You do, don't you? Yes, you do. And you just keep it, not because you like it or it's pretty or it's functional, but because it was my great aunt's or my great grandmother's, because it was special to them, so it must be special to you too. Your clothes are comfortable and memorable. You have your favorite sweater that you wear, your favorite comfortable shoes. You're not going to go out shopping in high heel wedges. That's totally impractical. It's not comfortable. You're not going to have a good time. You like comfortable clothes. You might even wear some things that someone has given you, not because it looks good on you, but because they gave it to you, and it makes you feel loved when you wear it. That's the sensor. You work through problems by feeling your way through it. Let me explain this. When you have a problem, you sit and analyze how you feel about it over and over, and very quickly you can sink into depression sometimes. Is that resonating with anyone? Okay. Because you get wrapped up in your emotions. They become capital to you. It becomes how you operate, how you feel about it. You don't necessarily make a decision based upon logic. You make a decision based upon how you feel about something in your gut. And that's okay. That's how God made you. That's how God made you. Now, I might step on toes, but remember, we're tough. We got steel-toe boots on. My precious sensors, you're willing to do anything for anyone. You will give them the last money in your wallet. You'll give them the last food in your fridge. And you do this sometimes because you are necessary. The sensor loves to feel needed. The sensor often operates by ego. No one can fix this person but me. No one can help this person out of their situation but me. Do you understand that? And what happens? It causes a lot of unrest, bitterness. Do you understand what I'm talking about? It causes some bitterness because you resent that person now for taking so much of your resources. Even though you're the first one to say, take it, you start building a resentment toward them. And that can cause you to morph out of being a sensor and start operating more out of bitterness or anger. That's not where you need to be. I'm going to say something very tough for sensors in here. You're not the only solution for a person with problems. God has a solution for that person. And sometimes by rushing into their aid and enabling them, you are actually preventing God from doing a greater work in their life. And it will be the toughest thing you do to say, I love you. And I love you so much that I no longer want to help you stay in this situation. You can refer them to resources. You can offer them help but in another way. But no longer can I give you because it's causing resentment. And I'm actually preventing you from being who you could be, from who God wants you to be. That's the toughest thing you will ever do as a sensor. I promise you. It's hard. Other personality styles like, get out of my way. But a sensor can't do that. They feel personally responsible for people. How many sensors in here are involved in volunteer work in some way, community effort, something like that? You volunteer. Of course, it fuels you. That's where your energy comes from. You love it. That's how you're designed. You actually are restored by doing that. But when it starts infringing upon, remember we learned about prudence, your own field? It can also cause bitterness and frustration toward that same situation that you volunteered. When people come to you with problems, you listen, you understand. You don't necessarily offer solutions. You're just the sounding board, and you come alongside them, and that's a beautiful ability of a sensor, is to come alongside someone with a problem and help them in a way that only you can, and it's to feel what they're feeling. But sometimes you can feel so deeply that someone can unload their problems on you and you carry it around. Has that ever happened? They've gone on their merry way and you're left like, oh, I feel horrible. You have this unique ability to absorb the energy of another person. They can put it on you, but you have a difficult time getting it off, and you carry that around. What you need to do about that situation is understand you are powerless to help them, and by giving them all of your emotions, you are less able to do what God wants you to do. You've got to deliver it to God. Only God is the one who can fix that. You like to process things by pondering. You're quiet. And some people will say to you, what's the matter? And you're like, I'm just thinking, right? That's how a lot of sensors do things. They just think through things. They're quiet. Don't mess with me. I'm okay. I'm just thinking. I have to ponder this. That's how you work things out. Now, as I explain these personalities, I want you not only to think about yourself, think about your children, think about your spouses, think about those friends who God has placed in your life. Your blessing is also your burden. You have empathy and intuitiveness, but again, it can drive you down and depress you. You need to learn how to let people manage their own problems. You are not the fix-it person. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to give them all of your energy. Now, you give wise counsel to people. You're very gifted at that, but you don't necessarily follow it yourself. You know I'm serious. You're great at telling your kids what to do. You're great at telling your husband what to do. But when it comes to you, forget it. It doesn't apply. I know how I work. No, if you're going to give advice, you got to follow it as well. Now, God doesn't want you to be the hero. A lot of sensors in here have a hero complex. They want to fix things. Emotionally, they want to fix things. They want to make everything all right. And they carry stress and anxiety and depression when things are not all right, especially with their kids. When they have a problem, when their kids have a problem, they feel it to their core as moms. A lot of us moms, especially sensing moms, feel it to their core. God wants to be the hero in their life. When you are constantly carrying that around, you're preventing God from doing the mighty work that he wants to do. Got to give it over. I know it feels easier said than done, but it literally is a daily task of giving it over to God. God, I trust you with this situation. I trust you with this person. I trust you with this relationship. Now, I could stay all day on this, but I got to move on to thinkers. There are several people in here who are thinkers. You analyze everything. If I looked at your notes, I could tell you who are thinkers in here because your notes have bullet points. They're very organized. You might even have a flow chart. Let me see. Let me see your notes. Who's got the flow chart? Who's got the bullet points? You do? Okay. Everything is organized. You love organization. It fuels you. You love it. You think more clearly when you're able to see everything as it should be. Your closet, everything is where it should be. And if someone takes something out, you know it. You spot it immediately. Someone took that red leather jacket I had hanging right there. It was hanging on that hanger. It was in with my jackets. I know it. Now, you couldn't do that with anyone else's closet, but a thinker's closet is everything. They even probably have things organized by, here's my shirts, here's my jackets, here's my pants, here's my skirt, okay, and then here's my sandals, and then they go up to the mid-size shoes, and then they go up to the boots, and here's the taller boots. You might even have color coordinated. Does anyone have color coordinated closets? No one? Okay, you do? Okay, all right, thank you, thank you. Now, it's not that you love routine, okay? It's not that you're in love with routine. You just understand it's much more effective, right? It's not that you're like, oh, I love how, organizing. I love routine. You just understand it's much more effective this way. It doesn't waste my time. It doesn't waste my energy. This routine works. You love routine. You would go to the same restaurant every weekend and order the same thing if you could because it's routine. It's worked one week, it'll work another week. You stick with the same strategies. Your life will change, but you'll have the same strategies that you do over and over, even when it's no longer effective, until you can sit and analyze it and make a flow chart and work with it. Now, you have a hard time getting rid of clutter. But let me tell you why. It's not that it means anything to you. For a thinker, they keep their clutter because you never know when you're going to need it again. Am I right? You keep receipts for 10 years. You never know when you're going to need it. I'll never know when I'm going to need that wood plank again. I might need that one day, so I'm going to organize that. Someone's got a wood plank. You never know. I might have a craft project and I'll need a wood plank. So I know where the wood plank is. I've organized it. It's right there, filed under W for wood. That's how the thinker works. Now, people come to you with problems. You don't necessarily feel it. You automatically start analyzing it. People don't really want you to analyze their problems. I hate to tell you. When your kid comes to you as a thinker with a problem, they're not coming to you for you to pick it apart and come up with your solutions. They just wanted to lay it all out there. And a thinker is immediately, okay, all right, well, let's see. What do we have here? Okay, so point A, all right, you got point B, and you start jotting down your notes and organizing, getting your flow chart, and the other person's gone. And then you come to them later with a PowerPoint presentation. I have your solution right here. I spent 20 hours. See the color coding? All right, this is why you need to do what I'm telling you to do. That's how a thinker operates. Drives spouses crazy, drives kids crazy. We still do it. Why? Because it makes sense. To us, it makes sense. It's just how they do things. Very organized. If you made a trip to come here and you packed, I can only imagine what your suitcase looks like. You probably have socks. When you pack, the socks are all in one section. Your bras and underwear are right here. You have your shirts. You might even lay out your outfits and pack them all together. Oh my goodness, you do. You do. This is day one with the jewelry already attached to the outfit, right? That's how you do things. That's how you do things. It's already there. It just makes sense. Your toiletries are carefully packed. You even individually wrap in bags all your liquids before you put them in there, just in case it could bump and spill. Yes. It just makes logical sense, right? That's how thinkers do things. It's easy, it's effective, it works, it's logical, right? That's how we do things. Junk drawers, you have no idea what it is. You'll go in a friend's house and open up a drawer. It drives you crazy. You would go crazy in my house. Pull open any drawer, drive you crazy. If you want to have an aneurysm, come to my house and pull open a drawer. Any thinkers in here, you'll love what you see. But it's just, what's a junk drawer? Why would you have junk? Probably because you might need it again, but then you would organize it somewhere where you can immediately retrieve it. Now, you love details. Some of your kids, let me tell you how a thinker's mind operates. They can hear and see details that a lot of us, we don't notice it at all. Our thinking kids, they can hear and see details we can't. Some of their music, it sounds like noise to us, but actually a thinker's brain, they can hear patterns, notes, melodies that we can't. Isn't that amazing? It sounds like noise to us. That's because we're hearing it out of different ears. A thinker's ears, they can hear that kind of stuff. It's really funny because a lot of thinkers go into like processing and the more analytical careers, and then they listen to like acid rock music. It's because they can hear what we can't hear, and it makes sense to them. They love it. Classical music too, they like classical music. Isn't it funny that someone can like acid rock and classical music? Because they can hear things. Their minds process things differently, and it's beautiful, and they're not supposed to change. So don't make them change. Don't fit them into a mold that feels like Spanx. Drive them crazy. Now, your blessing can become your burden. By the way, let me just say, for all the thinkers who send emails and texts, no one cares to see bullet points and this long of a paragraph in your emails, and no one wants to read it. I'm just letting you know. So next time you send an email or text, for all you thinkers out there, keep it short. Because people's attention span are not like yours. Just think about it. Next email, no one needs to know all the details. Keep the details to yourself. Now, your blessing can become your burden because sometimes things aren't always orderly in life. Sometimes we can come up on situations that we can't make sense of. It doesn't make sense. It's not orderly. It doesn't fit into the way we think. That's when we have to step back and say, God, I can't understand this, but I understand that you can, and let it go. We're going to come across, have you ever come across situations that don't make sense in your life? Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to my child? I don't get it. I can't come up with a solution. I can't make a flow chart. That's when you got to give it over to God. We got to move on. The artist. Also the actor. How many people already know that they are an artist or an actor? They go into that there's no party complete until you show up, because you bring the party with you. You're there, the music can start, bring out the refreshments. Meanwhile, the thinker is trying to organize the party. The censor is in the corner saying, what's really wrong? And the ruler's there saying, hey guys, we're gonna do a game over here. And the artist is like, no idea, because she is the party. Oh, you guys are here too? Okay, join my party, let's go. That is the artist. That's the actor. There is no stage that she would not gladly jump on and do whatever you told her. Don't dare an artist to do anything, because they'll do it. Doesn't matter what it is. Light a bag of dog poo on this person's porch and run, sure, give me a bag of poo, I'll do it. They don't care, they'll do anything. So don't dare them to do anything. Now, an artist has clutter because it's no fun to declutter. And if it's no fun, the artist ain't gonna do it. It just ain't fun. If it's not fun, I'm not doing it. That's the way the artist has a tendency to think. They like to have fun. They like to have a good time. The only way an artist can declutter is if she brings people over, she turns music up really loud, and they all do it together and turn into a party. That's the only way they can declutter. There's got to be some party aspect associated to it. That's why they hold on to clutter. It's no fun to clean it out. Now, you work through problems by taking action. It could be a stupid action, but you just take action. You just do something about it. It doesn't matter. I feel a weight here. I don't like it. Let's do something. If someone comes to you with a problem, someone can come to a censor with a problem. They talk about it. Someone comes to a thinker. They figure it all out. The ruler's telling them what to do, and the artist is like, look, me and you, let's get some donuts, some scones. I got a tank full of gas. Let's just go. Do it. We're going to hit the town. Forget everything. That's the way an artist thinks. Like, why deal with this? There could be a party next door, and we're missing out. So we don't need to think about our problems. If you want distraction from your problems, go to an artist and tell them about it. You'll wind up, next morning you wake up and you're tattooed or something. You won't have any idea what happened. That's just what happens. If you pack to come here, an artist, nothing is folded. They're like, I like this shirt. I like these shoes. All of a sudden your suitcase is full, and when you get there, you're like, I think I'll put this with this, and when you open your suitcase, it's like a bomb went off. When you leave a kitchen, shut the cabinet doors. An artist never shuts cabinet doors. Never. It's funny because I have a tendency to leave cabinet doors open. It drives my son crazy. My son is very much a thinker. Everything's neat and tidy. So what do I do to drive him crazy? I open every cabinet door in my kitchen, pull open every drawer, and then I stand in the corner and say, Corbin, come here, just for fun. He comes in, he's like, oh, ah! He doesn't know what to attack first. Do I attack this side? Do I go to this side? What do I do? You're here, boom, 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 boom. He's slamming everything shut. But an artist doesn't care. They don't even see it. Has it ever occurred to you, your kids, some of them are artists, you go in their room and you're like, I can't believe you can even live in this room. And the artist says, what are you talking about? They don't see it. It doesn't look like clutter to them. It looks like God's providence. It's all good. I know where my jeans are. They're under that pile right there. I can get them anytime I want. I know where that boot is, and I know where that boot is. I can get them anytime I want. It's not a problem to them. Their clothes are fun. They wear things because they're fun or fashionable. They don't necessarily wear shoes that are comfortable. They just wear it because, hey, I saw it in a magazine, it's cool, they look fun, I'm going to get it. That's why that's why they pick out the clothes they pick out. That's why they dye their hair the way they dye their hair. Why not? It's just hair. Who cares? And then the thinker's like, oh, but it's your hair. And then the artist is like, so what? It grows. Why can't I shave one side? It grows. It makes no sense to an artist. It grows. Get over it. It's no big deal. Big deal for you, not for an artist. So you understand how your kids might be fitting into some of this? Okay, now, an artist has a tendency to take on a lot because they jump in and they take action. And if they see something, they're like, let's do it. Let's start it. They're great at starting things. Not so good at finishing them. Great at starting things. Let's declutter. We're going to go to the store. We're going to get some plastic containers and organize everything, and then nothing happens. The plastic containers are in the corner with the other things because they don't have follow-through. Now, your blessing can become your burden. You think out of the box. You're creative. You never stop the flow of ideas. But when it gets boring, you give up. If you can combine persistence with your action, you will be unstoppable, artists. Listen to me. With your children, if you can helping them combine persistence with their action, don't limit them. Help them learn how to follow through. They're going to see amazing things come out of that. Combine action. Now, one problem that artists have a tendency to deal with are panic attacks. We take on a lot, we assume a lot, all of a sudden we're like, I can't do it, I can't do it. And we feel the panic set in. Anyone in here ever felt that panic set in? What did I do? I stepped out. Darling, when you step out, God's going to step out with you. It's okay. Use prudence. Step out where he tells you to do, and you will master it. You might have a little nausea going into it. It's okay. Throw up, get over it, move on. You can do this. I remember the first time I was ever on television. I was so sick. I went to the bathroom and threw up 3 times before the camera was on. I had done it. I stepped out, and all of a sudden, it's like that panic. What did I do? I don't want to be on TV. What? And then I got through it. Miraculously, there's another side. You're going to get to the other side, and you're going to be okay because God's going to be with you. The ruler. The ruler's so funny. The ruler, if they see someone succeed, they don't necessarily celebrate with them. What they say is, I can do that better. She did that. Oh, good for you. I can do that way better. That's the reason you take on more responsibility, because you know you can do it better. Whenever anyone has a success, you've already formulated how you could do it 10 times better than they could. You're a ruler. You are set apart and anointed to rule. When you go into a committee, God help everyone in that committee, because you will push them and pull them and call them and torment them until it is done. But when it's executed, it is flawless. You're a ruler. You know what you're doing. You rule. You don't necessarily do the grunt work, but sometimes you're left with it, right? Because you started this, you're organizing it. Some people don't follow through, and you get so irritated at them. They shouldn't have volunteered if they weren't going to do this. I can hear the conversations already. Now, you ask the question, why not me? When you see someone achieve a goal, lose weight, get out of debt, get a great career, you immediately, why not me? Why can't I do that? And that's a beautiful question. Because God is saying, why not you, baby? Why not you, honey? You can do that too. You can do that. But you need to be in control. You're the one who's always saying, I got this. When someone comes to you with a problem, you don't necessarily come up with a solution, you do more. You come up with the solution, and then you begin to execute it for them. And then you'll call them and, did you do what I told you to do? Did you tell your husband this? Did you do this? Did you take the action I told you to do? Again, rulers are like thinkers. They're great at giving advice, not necessarily following it. You're really good at ruling. Very good. You like to hold on to clutter because it's just a lot of stuff and it makes you feel important. You have an ego. We all do. But a ruler is led by that ego more easily than other personalities. You like to hold on to stuff because it makes you feel important, because you own a lot. You have a lot of possessions, whether you use it, whether you like it or not. The clothes you pick out are usually labels, high-end labels, because it says a message about you when you go out. That's why you would rather have one $500 purse than 6 $20 purses. You would rather do that. That's just you. It's okay. God says we can have nice stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. No judgment there. I'm just telling you how you make decisions. Now, a lot of times, you can't be a part of something unless you're leading it. You have a really hard time taking direction or submitting to authority, because you know how it works best and you want to do it your way. But a lot of times, all the time, we have to submit to God's authority. And we can't always figure things out, and our solutions may not be the best solutions. News break, they may not. You have to do things God's way. Now, your blessing can become your burden, because you have to have control over situations. You will white knuckle it and just bear through it and cope every day simply because you want control, instead of letting go and letting God do that. A lot of rulers have anxiety because they can't let go of situations. That's going to be your biggest battle, is being able to let go and not have to figure it out. You learn how to delegate. Listen, rulers, you learn how to delegate, and that means everything. In your house, if you can learn how to delegate and let other people do things even when it does not meet your standards, you will become unstoppable. Hands off sometimes. Hands off. Now let's think about, for a moment, we have a little bit of time here. Let's think about understanding these personality styles and what it means for your family, for the children that God has given you, for your spouses. Can you see a little bit of why your husband has a tendency to do the things he does, or why your kids have a tendency to do the things they do? Your family is full of stars, and it really is beautiful. And you've got to know how to communicate with those stars. I'm going to give you a little inside information here. The bitterness and the blame, let it go. Let all of that go. You can't go into a relationship. You can't communicate with a groundwork of bitterness. Let it go. You have been forgiven of your sins, so extend that same forgiveness toward others, especially those in your family. God has placed you together for a purpose, for a glorious, mighty purpose. Number one, lead with love. Whenever you're communicating to your kids, to your spouse, lead with love. Always. Don't lead with, I told you, or why do you always do? That's one thing. We have a tendency to ask kids questions that they can't answer. Why do you always do that to your little sister? Because I have inner feelings of hostility. They can't answer that. But we have a tendency to always ask our kids, why do you do it? They can't answer that. So don't even ask them a question they can't answer. This week, that's going to come out of your mouth. Why do I love you so much? I don't know. That's going to start to come out. You're going to catch yourself. Lead with love. Understand them. Try to crawl into their skin and see the way they see. Think the way they think, even when it's very uncomfortable for you. And expect the best. Sometimes we put our kids into molds because that's all we've expected out of them. Why do you always do this? Why can't you make a decent grade? Why do you always get in trouble at school? Why don't you have any friends? Why do you always sit at home and be alone, or whatever it is? We have told our kids subconscious messages of what we expect out of them. And those people we love, our children, our spouses, will become what we expect, not what we want. Listen to me. They become what we expect, not what they want. Be that parent who expects the best. Be that daughter who expects the best. Be that friend who expects the best, that spouse. Say, oh, I know this isn't you. I know you, and I know this isn't you. I believe in you. Even when it's like so hard to do that, like if there's sibling rivalry and your kids are fighting, you know what? You love your sister so much. And I am so grateful she has an older brother to look up to. And I'm so grateful that God has placed you there and that she can admire you and you're a source of comfort for her and strength for her. I'm so glad about that. Make sure you keep that in mind when you talk with her, when you interact with her, because she's looking up to you. What a difference that could make instead of, why do you always get in fights with your sister? Are you understanding me? Is this hitting home? Do you understand how when we change how we communicate, it changes the results we get in our relationships? Leave the past in the past. Do not bring up junk from the past. God has let it go. God says your sins are as far as the east is from the west. Can you do the same courtesy for your spouse, for your friends, for your children, for your parents? Don't bring things up. Let it go. I'll never forget one time my daughter came to me, totally floored me. She said, Mom, one thing I really appreciate out of you is all the stupid stuff I've done, you've never brought it up. And I didn't even realize that. I didn't even realize that I had done that. But I know God never brings up my sin. He never says, Hannah, remember then? No. He says, girl, you are righteousness, my righteousness in Christ Jesus. Can't we extend that to our kids and our friends, our family? Leave the past in the past. And communicate with honesty. Total honesty. We've heard of generational sins, right? A lot of times, generational sins are a result of dishonesty. I can't tell my child about my past because they might repeat it. If you don't, they will. You need to communicate with honesty. Let me tell you about the junk I went through because I want your life to be even more blessed. I want you to live in a covenant of favor all the time. Makes a difference. There are things we don't want to bring up, but if we can't communicate with honesty, we can't expect honesty from the people we live with and the people we love the most. We've got to be honest. Let God take care of the details. let's just be honest about it. And never, never, never resort to coercion. This is what I mean by coercion. Do you ever start crying to make an effect on someone you're talking to, whether you do it consciously or unconsciously? Maybe if a child has, for the 5th time, destroyed something, and you start crying, why did you do that? Sometimes, now listen, we're tough women. We can take this. Sometimes it's because you want to get a response from your child. You want them to change so bad that you want them to see how it's affecting you emotionally. Don't resort to that. You're stronger than that. You're more powerful than that. You can communicate with love, with kindness, and with honesty. And you can believe in them. And never use negative emotions. Has anyone ever done the silent treatment? It just makes you miserable. The other person has gone on their merry way. Doing the silent treatment does nothing but make you look like a fool. Just being honest. It makes you miserable. You will sit in your misery and subconsciously thinking, they're going to know how miserable they made me and they will change. No, they won't. They will change when you open up and communicate out of love. Don't resort to that. You're better than that. Don't use threats, no matter who you're talking with, friends, spouse, kids. Don't use threats. Because a threat says, I have the power to do this and I'll use it over you. Even if it's a threat like, all right, I'm leaving. You know you've done it. With kids who are taking their time. Okay, I'm going to leave. Bye. No. What that is saying to your child is, I have the power to leave you, and I will do it at will if I need to. Don't do that. Just let them know. Okay, we're leaving in 5 minutes. That's when we're going, okay? Don't use threats. Don't use threats with your spouse. Don't use threats with your friend, because you've already crossed a line. Once you've used a threat, you've crossed that line, and it's as if you already did. Don't go there. You're more powerful than that. God operates with us out of love, and he expects us to do the same with those people he placed in our path. Censor, thanker, artist, ruler. God has placed these people in your path, and he's created you how you're supposed to be, to embrace who that person is, and to embrace those people who you love the most and you believe in the most, and who God has placed you at a very strategic point, at a very strategic time, to usher them into greatness. You are so powerful. You don't realize the power you have right now in your position, whether it's a daughter, a mother, a sister, a friend. God has placed you there. And when your path crosses another, you have the power to change their lives. Understand this. Watch every word. Crawl in their skin. See the way they see things. And it will make a huge difference in your life, and a huge difference in the lives of those who love you the most. God wants us to understand this. He didn't make us all the same. How boring would that be? He made us all different for a glorious purpose, all parts of one body, no part better than the other. And when we understand how we operate, we can become unified. And there's no greater power than a unified body of believers, and that starts with the family. So think about what you're going to do today. Think about what you're going to do when you go home from this conference. How you're going to relate to those people who you love the most. What are you going to change? How are you going to change your speech, your action? What are you going to do differently? Has this shed a little bit of light on how you operate, how your kids operate? I hope it has. I know it's going to yield results.
Thanks for listening. Remember to visit our website, www.bridge-church.com, and connect with us via Facebook and Twitter.